Welcome to the School of Healthcare Science at Manchester Metropolitan University. In this short presentation, I will give a brief overview of our taught Masters research projects within the Biomedical Science and Clinical Sciences networks. I will be focusing on the ethical guidance for MSc projects undertaken in the workplace, external to the university and most usually by our part-time students. My name is Dr. Lisa Culthwaite and I am the Programme Leader and Project Coordinator for the MSc Biomedical Science Network. After watching this presentation, further details can be found in the accompanying guidance for supervisors document that I have written or by emailing me at the address given here. In order to complete a taught MSc, students need to undertake 180 credits at what we call Level 7 study, which is Master's level. For our taught Masters students, the research project is a considerable independent piece of research work worth 60 credits at Level 7. This is commensurate with approximately 600 hours of student effort. For the Biomedical Science Network, this is completed as one single 60 credit unit, whereas students in the Clinical Sciences Network, or STP, complete the project as two split 30 credit units. All part-time students have one work-based supervisor and one assigned university academic supervisor from Manchester Metropolitan. The workplace supervisor oversees the day-to-day running of the project. The academic supervisor is able to offer guidance and advice on procedural and regulatory matters related to the project, supported by the project coordinator and programme leader as required. It is important that students keep in contact with their academic supervisor throughout the duration of the project. It is recommended that a record of supervisory meetings is kept and a pro forma for this is available to the students via their virtual learning environment, Moodle. It is the student's responsibility to keep in contact and inform the academic supervisor of their project progress. The aim of the Research Project Unit is to enable students to develop a variety of independent skills. The project stages are listed on this slide. Briefly, identifying a novel problem the project will address and by doing so generate new data. A thorough literature search is undertaken to provide an in-depth background to the research and identify appropriate methodologies to be used. The research work is then planned with recognition of ethical considerations associated with the project area. The student will develop appropriate independent practical skills using proven methods for collection of data. These will involve intellectual, theoretical and/or practical abilities, the input of which must be clearly demonstrated in the final dissertation. The production of well-substantiated valid results within the given time constraint is required. It is important for the student to develop investigative ability, to be able to demonstrate a logically reasoned argument, and to produce a clear, concise, and readable report in conclusion. In addition, students are required to present their work to their peers in the form of a poster, which describes and illustrates the work. This slide gives an overview of the key stages in the research project. The stages in red are formal assessed submissions and black are not assessed. For exact submission dates for each course and year, please refer your students to their unit Moodle area for further information. Common pitfalls students experience in completion of the project include not applying for ethical approval in good time. In the latter stages of the project, the most common pitfall is not leaving enough time to submit a full draft of the project to the academic supervisor. In order to be fair and consistent to all our students, academic supervisors will only provide feedback on one draft of each section of the project report. Depending on the specific details of the individual projects, yourselves as work-based supervisors and the students will need to consider the legal obligations and ensure you are all working to and within the framework of one or more of the following legal acts and directives. The Research Governance Framework, second edition from 2005, outlines principles of good governance that apply to all research within the remit of the Secretary of State for Health, and hence applies to all projects within our school. Further details on requirements of the project proposal can be found in individual project unit handbooks and via the unit Moodle areas. The requirements and submission deadlines differ between the biomedical science and clinical science networks and vary on a year-to-year basis. There is no simple set of rules to cover the variety of relationships that may exist between a student and supervisor. However, it's desirable that students and supervisors start with a clear understanding of their own and everyone else's responsibilities and duties. As such, students and their supervisors are required to sign a learning agreement, which must be emailed to the project unit coordinator before any work commences. This document is available via the students' unit Moodle areas. The learning agreement is intended to guide yourselves as supervisors and the students in responsibilities when undertaking the research project. All projects require ethical consideration and approval from Manchester Metropolitan University. Students cannot begin their project work until they have received ethical approval. The university requires that all projects have completed an ethics checklist and insurance checklist before work commences. Some research projects also require NHS ethical approval. Your students should hopefully have been granted this approval already from your workplace. If not, you will need to make this a priority, as ethical applications and approvals can cause considerable delays to undertaking project work. The university requires a signed, dated letter on headed paper from the workplace R&D department, clearly stating the student's name and project title, and that the project is not deemed research and has approval to be undertaken without further ethical considerations. If the project is deemed to be research by the R&D department, we will require an NRES approval letter as evidence that appropriate ethical considerations have been made and the project is approved. The University Ethics Checklist and associated guidance documentation can be found via the MMU web link on this slide. Once completed, the ethics checklist will be checked by the academic supervisor and either approved or submitted to the appropriate committee for consideration at programme or faculty level as required. The document used for guidance in research governance by Hospital Trust's R&D department is available via the government web link at the bottom of the slide. This is a summary table taken from the research governance guidance document, differentiating the types of projects in public health work. This provides guidance as to which projects will be requiring NRES ethical approval. Please note, the university considers all master's level and above projects to be research, since they are hypothesis driven, with the aim to derive new knowledge. However, this may not be generalisable. Hospital R&D departments will make their own decision regarding the type of project you are undertaking in the context of public health work, and this will guide the subsequent ethical approval processes required. Not all projects undertaken within the NHS are classified as research under this framework. The ethical approval processes, if NHS ethics is required, are highlighted here. Firstly, the student and yourselves should consult your R&D department to determine whether NHS ethics are required for the project, and if so, which method of consideration will be needed. The HRA have a helpful online ethics decision tool making kit, and the web link is provided here. But do follow the advice of your own trust R&D department. Secondly, log onto the HRA main website. The web link is provided here on the slide for further forms and guidance documentation. The final web link here, and part 3, called My Research Project, is for completing the ethics forms via the Integrated Research Applications System, or IRAS. Once this is complete, the student's academic supervisor should be notified and sent a copy of the completed ethics forms for reference. The next stage, step 5, is to phone the HRA central booking service and book in at the next available space at your local ethics committee meeting. Once this meeting is booked, the online submission of ethics forms via IRAS can be completed. The central booking service team are unable to process the booking until all of the electronic authorisations are in place. The REC IRAS checklist has been completed with the correct versions and dates, and the corresponding documents have been uploaded to the checklist ready for submission. The submission of forms must take place on the same day as the booking is made. You may wish to attend this meeting in order to provide responses to any questions raised at the meeting. Finally, following the meeting, the outcome will either be successful, so full approval, modification and resubmission with some slight adjustments needed, or rejection. Either way, please notify and send a copy to the academic supervisor and project coordinator. For students undertaking a master's research project at Manchester Metropolitan, we can provide support and guidance with NRES applications. Many of our academic staff, including myself, have submitted our own successful research project applications through the IRAS system, and we have also supported many master's and PhD research projects as academic supervisors. Your R&D department must first consider your project proposal to determine if your project is classified as research. We have found that there can be misinterpretation of the government research guidance document by hospital R&D departments in respect of who's responsible for underwriting the health and integrity of hospital-based projects. The confusion has meant that some departments have been under the impression that Manchester Metropolitan is responsible for this. The document clearly shows that it is the sponsor or funder of the project who takes this role. Since it is the NHS that funds this role in the majority of cases, it falls to their ethics committee to approve and underwrite the project. It is therefore not appropriate for R&D departments to request CVs from academic staff. Manchester Metropolitan can provide indemnity insurance for projects subject to specific study conditions. However, this is not normally requested for NHS-led projects. Recent modifications by the Health Research Authority, or HRA, have sped up the processes for the majority of ethics applications. This has included the use of proportionate reviews for no material ethical issues. This next slide is taken from the HRA guidance on no material ethical issues and gives an indication on the types of projects that could be considered as a proportionate review. This is much quicker than a full research ethics committee meeting. Please do take full guidance with the type of ethical considerations and approval processes required for individual projects. If a project is inappropriately taken to a proportionate review, it will be bounced back to a full REC, and this will cause considerable delays in applying for the ethical approval. I hope this short presentation has given you a useful insight into the structure and organisation of our taught masters part-time research projects within the Biomedical Science and Clinical Science Network here at Manchester Metropolitan University. If you would like any further information about this presentation, the links or any associated documentation, please do not hesitate to contact me at the email address provided here on the slide. For more specific project inquiries, please contact your student's academic project supervisor, project coordinator or programme leader. Thank you.